What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the PHNX Mercury podcast. I am your host, Erica L. Day, and I am joined today by the esteemed Stephen Pridgeon Garner. Stephen, I was talking a little too fast there. How are you?
I'm blessed as always, Erica. Excited to tap in with another episode. Talk a little bit with our fans and supporters. Um, I think the cat's out the hat now, or out the bag, however that little adage goes. But I think y'all know what y'all kind of got in store on this episode. But we got a golden standard that consistently is upheld across multiple generations, not just eras, not just years, generations of athletes to speak to. But before we get there, how you feeling? How you living? You got a big smile on your face. I see you excited, chomping at the bit to speak on that gold medal game. So how you feeling before we get to it?
I've been waiting all day for this episode. First of all, before we go any further, we got Eric Ruby, Big Hatter, fellow Big 12er, Jeff Sims believer, Eric Ruby running the X's and O's behind us today. So I'm real thankful we got Eric with us. It's going to be a great day. And before I go any further, we've mentioned a lot about the Die Hard chat before and just all the benefits that come with being a Die Hard. And if you're not a Die Hard yet, what are you doing? It's a lot of fun. You get a Die Hard membership card, a free hat, or a free t-shirt of your choosing from the Die Hard locker. And you get discounts on big events like the one that is coming up 2 weeks from today, which we'll speak to in just a little bit. But yeah, nonetheless, I've been so freaking excited that I could have blown the roof off my house when I woke up this morning to film this episode with you today. First of all, we're not going to speak on this for too long, but we got to give flowers where they are due, okay? And the USA clearly escaped by the skin of their teeth and defeated France for their 8th consecutive gold medal. But I feel it is necessary to give the flowers to the Valley's own Stephen Pridgeon Garner before we go any further, because not only did Kahleah do exactly what you said she was going to do, she did it in exactly the manner that you always say she's going to do it. Fourth quarter, Kahleah Copper quite literally won this gold medal for Team USA. And how did she do it? Her physicality on both sides of the ball and getting to the free throw line. Almost as if that is what Stephen has been preaching all season is the best part of her game. And we watched it all unfold right in front of our eyes yesterday.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it was just knowing how Kahleah adapts to an environment when it demands something in particular from her, and how she's so consistently able to, like I said before, operate in time on task. You give her a task, when the task is presented to her over the course of the game, however many tasks that is, she just checks the boxes off in abundance and with a certain level of exuberance that really just kind of ignites everybody else that's on the court with her. And needless to say, with that game being played in such a close proximity in terms of margin in terms of the score, jousting back and forth the entire fourth quarter, going down, being tied at halftime in a low-scoring affair to ultimately being down 10 in the third quarter. They needed every bit of everything that Kahleah brought. In tandem with Jackie Young, which I love that Cheryl Reeve finally decided to play both of those two at the same time. For the defense and everything that Kahleah brings to also be matched with the same type of things in a unique way that Jackie brings as well. Both of those players are the blue-collar players on the perimeter for this team. And we saw them bring forth and stamp that impact on the game. And naturally, Jackie had it for the most part over the course of the Olympics, but Kahleah was presented with an opportunity, and she pounced on it when the team needed it most. And I think a lot of it started with the pressure on ball and activity that she brought on the defensive end of the floor, because they couldn't get a stop. They couldn't stay in front of Marine Johannes, and they couldn't stay in front of Gabby Williams. They cycled through multiple coverages with both of those two players to no avail through the first quarter or first half and some change. Finally found some traction footing-wise defensively as Kahleah and Jackie got comfortable defensively. In addition to those two, you also got to give an extreme hat to Napheesa Collier, because she had her best game prior to the gold medal game in the semifinals. And then she won up that, in my opinion, with her impact, especially defensively, in the gold medal game. So without the blue-collar impact and approach to the game from those three players, they don't win this game by 1, they probably lose it by double digits, which is the deficit that they were at coming out of the break after the first 3 minutes and some change. So shout out to those 3. But yes, Kahleah Copper, big time player, making big time plays. Shout out Stacey King. And as Asia Wilson said post game, I'm not gonna say it because I'm not the type of person to say that, but she basically said that she is her. And if you need to see what language she used to reference her as her, you feel free to go ahead and do so. But I will hope that you already saw that for yourself by now.
Yeah, you could say that clip exuberated my energy times like 1.5 million. I was just going through a lot of emotions yesterday. Quite frankly, just to touch on the Mercury players exclusively for just a second, to watch all 3 of them get their gold medals in the way that they did it, you just can't write novels better than that. Hallmark movies got nothing on yesterday's medal ceremony after that basketball game. I can imagine that there's no better feeling in the world as an athlete, but then on top of it, to do for your country what they did, all 3 of them individually or in their own specific manners. 6 times for our 42-year-old GOAT, 3 times for BG, and a first for Ka. I mean, get real. Like, we are in some elite company here in Phoenix, and we are very, very lucky to have them in the Valley.
10 gold medals, 10 gold medals on one team. 10.
It's sick. It's sick.
10. That in and of itself, now naturally you can't just say it's apples to oranges, but in terms of translating, because it's 2 complete different contexts of basketball, 10 gold medals on one team in and of itself speaks to the goal that this team was built in mind with and what their aspirations and desires are and what their bar is. And I feel like they shouldn't be held to any less of a standard than that. And I feel like that's what they're working towards. Last 2 quick things, though, before we transition. Asia Wilson did not have her most impactful scoring game in terms of efficiency and just generally her rhythm. France did a very good job with their scout report trying to just disrupt the rhythm, because you don't completely take Asia out of a game, nor do you stop her on consistency. You just want to break her rhythm. I feel like, though some of it was certainly aided by the officiating or lack thereof, you can apply whatever context to that you want. I'm just saying what I saw. Asia gets fouled every time she touches the basketball because you simply cannot guard her. Now, if you're being over physical with her and the refs aren't officiating to that, that becomes an advantage for you to exploit. That's just what happens over the course of games. That's very much what happened in the first half of that game. I've never seen her miss so many opportunities and attempts at the basket. Nonetheless, she led the team in scoring. She led the team in rebounding. She led the team in stocks. She led the team in free throw attempts. She's ridiculous. I just hope that we were able to, when we speaking generally, we're able to take she doesn't play for the Mercury, so we're not going to give her credit. Take that hat off and just appreciate the greatness that she is. The blocks that she compiled in that game, switches,
Huge.
rim protection, isolation, defending in space. Everything that you could ask for out of your best player, especially considering the adversity that was the referee and officiating or lack thereof, like I mentioned. The team goes as their best player does. She rose to the occasion. She stopped talking to the officials in the second half. She got down to business, locked in, and Dawn Staley was very much in lockstep with her as well. And then the other big thing, generally speaking, broaden the scope for Phoenix basketball as a whole. Naturally, the men won their gold medal against the French national team on Saturday, which was the prelude to Sunday's women's national team winning the gold medal over the women's French team. These 2 teams do not win these gold medals without the abundant presences of the Phoenix basketball players on the men's side and the women's side. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Diana Taurasi, Brittany Griner, Kahleah Copper. Specifically, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Kahleah Copper pertaining to the gold medal rounds. We're not sitting here speaking as pridefully and as proudly as we are on Monday without those 3 players in particular stepping up to the lengths that they did in their particular gold medal games. And it's the ability for those 3 to not just be superstars, but to also be adaptable enough, sacrificial enough, and team-oriented enough to accept a role, buy into that role, take whatever comes with that role in terms of minutes and usage and touches, and figure out how to impact the team on the margins to make the compilation of talents come together the way that they needed it to. A lot of basketball players cannot do that. I'm not throwing shade at nobody based off of the conversations and discourse being had over the course of the Olympics this year. I'm speaking generally, whether you apply it to a game stateside or on the broader scope in terms of international play. A lot of players cannot adapt and be that and to have that level of, like I said, time on task ability and being able to play to the way that the team needs them to for them to win. We saw each one of those three players do that when both of their teams, all three of their teams needed it the most. And here we are seeing just that. And now they have the aspirations to come back home and bring home a championship stateside. I feel like there's no better catapult in terms of momentum for those three players in particular than to do what they did, when they did it, and how they did it, and then to allow for it to transfer and catapult themselves back stateside going into the rest of the W season and the NBA season for the Suns.
And while I am so excited for what's to come this upcoming week, we got WNBA play returning on Thursday. It's so close, I can almost taste it. Before we go any further, we got a super chat. Before we even went live today, Andy, the biggest backer of the day, Andy with a $4.99 super chat. Shout out to Andy. Thanks for tapping in with us here and on the Wildcat Show. Everywhere I go, Andy comes. So I just want to say big shouts to my guy, Andy. I better see you at the takeover event in 2 short weeks. That being said,
Andy,
though,
we appreciate you, my man. Thank you so much.
Are we, is it time? Are we ready?
Let's get to it.
Flip, Eric. PHNX Mercury podcast is joined by first-year Mercury head coach. Before landing in Phoenix, Nate was a very respected assistant coach in the NBA, as well as spending some time in the G League. He spent some time in Cleveland, as well as Portland and Orlando. And I know Steven and I are both super excited to have him on the show today. Nate, how's your break been? It's you've had some time off with the Olympics. How's it been?
It's been great. All-Star weekend here was fantastic. Ton of credit to our organization and owner, just putting on an unbelievable show. It was special. It was my first WNBA All-Star weekend, and I hope all of them are that much fun. It was a the city of Phoenix, the state of Arizona did a great job of representing and who we want to be and how prideful we are of the Mercury. After that, our family went up to Flagstaff for a couple of days, so that was cool. I had never been up there. It was good to get out of the heat for 48 hours, and then was lucky enough to go over to Paris. Actually, we were in Lille to see some of the group play the Olympics, and I had never gotten to go to the Olympics. It was special. It was really neat to see how much pride all the countries had there to support their teams, and also the players representing their countries. So really neat. It's been a long break. I've never experienced anything like this in the middle of a season. It's pretty crazy, and especially now with us not having some of our players here. But it's been good. I think everyone here in Phoenix is getting ready to get this thing started the second half of the season.
I know we are just as excited. And Nate, after spending 18 years and now more than 18 years with the NBA, now more than half of the WNBA season is, gone, and you've experienced that. How has the transition from the NBA to the WNBA been different than you maybe expected it to be?
Dang, that makes me sound old. I guess I am old, but no, it's been really fun. I think in life your changes are good, and I had always kind of dreamed of being a head coach again. I got a little taste of it in the I still call it the D League, but now it's the G League. It's quite a bit different than when I was in there. But yeah, I mean, as an assistant, you make suggestions, and as a head coach, you get to make decisions. And that was something that I had been, hoping for the last 5-8 years in the NBA, and that opportunity never came. And then this one was something that I hadn't really searched out or looked for, but I'm so thankful and glad that they found me. It's been a ton of fun. and challenging. This is a great league. There's not very many teams. You got the best players in the world on every team, and so you got to bring it each and every night, and it comes at you quick. The roster sizes are small, so there's nights that you walk into games with 8, 9, 10 players, and you got to be willing to adjust. And we're going to find that out in the second half. I mean, games are going to come quick. I think we've got 15 games in 34, 35 days, something wild like that. But we're going to be ready, and I've enjoyed it. Each game, I'm feeling more comfortable being a head coach again. Each game, I'm feeling more comfortable playing the opposing team or opposing coach. But it's been great. I'm super excited and thankful to be here.
Awesome. And your dad was a Hall of Fame girls coach. How did your upbringing kind of prepare you to coach women on the biggest stage?
Yeah, I don't know if I would be here if it wasn't for how I was brought up and what I was around. I spent a ton of time in the gym with my dad's teams over the years growing up. The only thing that's disappointing to me is that he's not here to see what his son is getting to do. I know he would be so excited and proud of just this and what the WNBA looks like. I took my mom through our new facility here last night in Phoenix, and she almost started crying a couple times because, like, when he started coaching girls basketball in the early 70s, that was their first opportunity to play. And, she got to see how he tried to push girls basketball in the state of South Dakota to new levels and try to compare it to the boys. And, his teams, he had a ton of success. And, those, me seeing that at a young age, going to all the girls' camps and running the girls' camps with him as a young, as I was growing up, and seeing how he treated his players would be no different than how I'm treating them, today. And so I'm super thankful for that. And I know that I wouldn't be here without those, years of being in the gym with the girls as a young kid.
All right, Coach. I have the first of my 3 questions for you. We're gonna be kind of looking at Kahleah Copper and just kind of assessing what you've seen from her. So, Jacob, if we could get that clip, I'll kind of transition to my question after you see this.
Shout out to Nate. Don't tell him, y'all. He's just done a good job with helping me understand my shot selection and what's efficient and what's really good for me. Shout out to Preston too. But I really bought into, how he wants me to play. And I think that also putting in the work also translates. So just shout out to them, and then me just putting in the work in the gym and then getting on the court.
Big shout out to you. What?
So obviously talent with Kahleah in terms of putting the ball in the basket, it was undeniable before you actually had a chance to coach her. But I'm curious, what were your assessments of Kahleah prior to having that opportunity to work with her, like she said, on her shot profile and decision making? And what have been your early assessments with her? I mean, leading the second and leading in scoring after the All-Star break.
Yeah. First off, I mean, Kaz, an awesome person. She wants to continue to get better. She's been very coachable. It's exciting to, I'm so excited to kind of see her grow as a player. Yeah, one of the things that, when we sat down with her, when we were trying to get her to commit to Phoenix, was kind of just talking to her about her shot profile and how well she shoots it from 3. And Preston is a guy that works in our front office that is a big numbers guy like yourself. And so we've spent a lot of time showing her film, showing her points per shot, what shots are good, what shots have more value. I think early on there were times where, she didn't want to hear it. She could get to her spots and shoot an 18-footer. And, great players, they're going to see bodies. And at times she's going to still shoot that. But how can we, raise the number of rim attempts? How can we get her to shoot more catch and shoot threes? I think last year she was number 1 or 2 in catch and shoot three percentage. And so that was a big thing for us. Like, you need more of them. And she's going to hear the same thing coming out of break when she gets back from Paris, is that we need more catch and shoot threes. And so just educating her, our whole team, on, what shots that we want as a group. And, I think that's part of my job is to educate not only her, but our whole team on what we're looking for. And she has bought into it.
And then kind of transition into Natasha Cloud, obviously the initiator of most of your offense, and pick and roll is something, a context you all kind of spend a lot of time in on a league perspective. She sees a lot of unders, and I'm curious, what have been your conversations with her in terms of her approach and how you've kind of assessed how she's attacked, whether with the pass, with the drive, or with the pull-up three in that particular context?
Yeah, Tosh is our vibe. She sets the tone. Absolutely love her competitive spirit and who she is. But yeah, we run a lot of pick and roll. We'll probably continue to run more pick and roll as the years go on. And it's not only just Tosh and the ball handler. It's us also educating and trying to talk to BG about her screening angles, right? I think people play the pick and roll defensively differently on who they're guarding. And obviously at times, they challenge Tosh to shoot the ball. So she's going to see more unders, but also just not giving in to unders, beating the unders with her speed, getting to the paint. We want her to get her feet dirty, get them 2 feet in the paint and look to either finish or spray to shooters. And so, Christy Tolliver has done a really good job here the last month or two with Tosh and just working on her footwork. I think you've seen her number of threes go up and her percentage. And that's just work. That's comfortability in kind of our system. But yeah, Tosh is going to continue to see a ton of pick and roll, and we trust her.
And just kind of a quick follow-up or aside to that question, is the adjustment or like one of the counter punches for you all? I kind of see you using like the lower angle closer to the baseline pick and rolls, kind of like a counter punch to that as far as like automatics goes.
Yeah, I think moving her around, moving all of our ball handlers around and not just giving them a steady dose of one thing. Obviously, I'm a big fan of high pick and roll, allowing our players to get downhill and playing with pace. But some of our players are more comfortable playing in tighter spaces, in the logo area. And so some of it is out of our early offense or transition. Some of it is in our half court sets. But moving them around and giving them opportunities to show the defense different looks.
Got you. And then my last question as far as these goes is you spoke to the numbers part and how I like to kind of gauge and assess things from there. I'm curious, as a head coach, especially with the compilation of experience now across multiple kind of eras of basketball, how do you kind of strike the balance between analytics and the eye test in terms of when you're building out your formula for success and how you kind of critique and gauge your players from there?
Yeah. So I came up in the D League. There wasn't a lot of numbers and analytics back then. There was more box scores if we were lucky. But I got to spend 8 years in Portland with Terry Stotts, and Terry's one of the best offensive minds in the NBA. I'm super excited that he's getting back in the league. He's going to be on the Warriors staff this year, and I'm sure Steve Kerr will lean into him a lot with the offensive stuff. But Terry was an analytic guy, and he spent time every day looking at numbers, talking to our analytic team on ways that we could improve, not only offensively and defensively. So me being around that kind of set the foundation of how important the numbers were. I think as a coach, if you're a numbers coach or not, just finding a balance on how much you hit the players with. The numbers tell a story, but not overtelling the story with too many numbers, I think, is important as far as just making an impact on whatever story that is you want to tell, but not giving too much. And some players may want to hear about the numbers and some don't. And so finding that balance, I think, is extremely important.
Coach, I'm really excited because we're gonna see right now just how well you really know the personnel on your team. And I've been putting this together for a few days now, and we're gonna just play a little game of 2 truths and a lie. Okay? And so we're gonna show you and read you some facts about your team, and you just have to tell us which one is not true. Okay?
Or true, or just not?
No, just one of them is not true.
Okay.
And you just have to tell us which one it is. Okay? So if we can have Damon pull up the first slide here. So Kahleah Copper and Natasha Cloud have both played in the WNBA for 8 years. Natasha Cloud and Diana Taurasi are both parents to 2 kids, and Kahleah Copper and Natasha Cloud both played their rookie season together for the Washington Mystics.
And which of them is not true?
Correct.
2.
Oh, well, unfortunately, that is true, Coach. Tosh calls all her dogs her kids all the time. It's actually 3.
That is, whoa. Okay, I respect that. You are right. If it's not that, then wow. Okay. That's a trick question right there, but I respect it.
I just wanted to catch you slipping, Coach. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
That was. I saw those 2 kids almost eating up a sprinkler the other day in the park. I don't know if you guys saw Tasha's. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we could get you with at least one of the questions. You know,
That was great.
I didn't know that we would trick you for sure, so I'm glad we could get you at least once.
That was all.
There's a second one though, so we might get you slipping twice. Steven, you want to go ahead and read this one?
Yeah, for sure. All right, so the first one is you are coaching 3 players that have won a Finals MVP this season. Number 2, the Mercury have 3 franchise championships in their history. And then number 3, Brittany Griner has made all defensive first team 3 separate times over the course of her career.
I'm going to say number 1.
Ooh.
He redeemed himself, getting back to 500. You are correct.
Thank you. I think we got 2. But
you got it. You got Diana, and then you got Kahleah Copper.
Yeah. I should be 2 for 2. You're
I've been working on that a while, so I'm glad it could get you. Okay.
That was a good one.
But it's been a blast. Seriously, thanks for spending part of your break with us. Just massive gratitude from both of us, all of our viewers, and all the new viewers that are going to come from having you on the show. We're just so excited that you're here. So thank you. And we really look forward to these final 18 games and watching what you put together.
Please have me again. I appreciate you being on and supporting our team. Really cool. So, yeah, let's make this happen again.
Sounds great to us. Thanks again, Coach. You be blessed, all right?
Okay, take care. Thank you.
And so that is what we've been cooking up for you guys on Friday. When I seemed so anxiously excited, I knew that was happening all day. That being said, we did catch Coach slipping just a little bit there at the end, and I see some comments calling me out on it. And y'all know I had to do it to him. I'm sorry, but I had to do it to him. And, I think when Tosh sees that, she is going to laugh her ass off. So I'm just stoked for that personally.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Shout out to Nate for being so personable. That same energy that he had with us over the microphone with the audience is the same energy he had when we crossed paths with him multiple times over the course of All-Star Weekend as he was amidst going from event to event. So yeah, shout out to Nate. We appreciate him taking the time to hop on and talk a little bit with us. we certainly look forward to the next opportunity that we have to do so with them. And we hope that you all really enjoyed that, because it was definitely something checkbox wise that we wanted to check off over the course of the season, and that was a big milestone that we were able to kind of manifest. So thanks again for tapping in with that.
That being said, that's not all we've got cooking for this week. And before we get to what else we've got cooking this week, because we do have some real good tea in the works. 2 weeks from today, we're all headed to the Desmond. And if you don't have your tickets for the takeover, I'm going to tell you how to get them right now. You're going to go to gophnx.com and you are going to go to the events tab and you are going to purchase your tickets to the PHNX Mercury takeover for August the 26th when the Mercury take on the New York Liberty. You are going to come have a few pregame beverages and maybe some snacks with Steven, myself, some diehards, maybe Saul, maybe even Big Hatter Eric will make an appearance. Who knows what could happen at the Desmond prior to the game. But that being said, then we will all take a little waltz over to the Footprint Center together and go see the game together. And you already know it's going to be a good game. I mean, again, we've already seen the Phoenix Mercury take on the Liberty twice this season, and they've come out on top once. I'd like to see them do it a second time. I don't know about Steven, but I think that would be a pretty enjoyable outcome for this takeover with 25 of our closest friends. What do you think?
I would say so too. It would be fun to see them win that game, of course. But generally speaking, it's going to be a very, very good, high competitive, high level of basketball in terms of a brand on display. You do not want to miss out on that. There's nothing that's going to be better going on in Phoenix than that game. Be there or be square. I think I've consistently said that the last 3 weeks now. Can't emphasize it enough. Be there or be square.
And quite honestly, don't say I've never told you about it, because we've spent the last month and a half filling your brain about this takeover. So if you're not there, it's quite frankly no one's fault but yourself. So like Steven said, be there or be square. That being said, though, a little bit of housekeeping. Our schedule this week is as follows. We will be with you on Wednesday, so be there for that. We have a little bit of a fun appearance happening on Wednesday that I think you guys should be looking forward to. It's Steven and I have been really excited for the break to end, but to be able to talk about what we expect from this team as well as the rest of the league as a whole is going to be really exciting. There's a lot of basketball left to be played. These standings are just that right now, and they're going to change by the end of the week. And so that being said, like, we got some good basketball in store for us. So I'm excited to talk about that with Steven on Wednesday. Steven, what else we got in the calendar?
Well, for all of you that might not know, and for those that do know, I would like to just kind of let it be known. ALLCITY has multiple cities that are presently covering a WNBA franchise. There's one obviously in Phoenix with PHNX, and there's also an entity in Chicago called CHGO. You should definitely be following both cities under the ALLCITY branch on Twitter at their respective Twitter handles. I think we've let it be known a few times before. I contribute over at CHGO, helping with the Bull stuff once in a while, but more consistently with the Chicago Sky team over there. And these two teams are going against each other in just a few quick days now on Thursday. That presents us with a great opportunity to have a nice little crossover where, because the game is taking place in Chicago on Thursday, with this week's episode of the CHGO Sky Show that I'm a co-host with, we're going to be hosting Erica. Obviously, it's going to be virtually, but we're going to have her on the podcast with us tomorrow. We still haven't stamped the time quite yet. We're kind of trying to figure out what makes sense for all existing parties. But stay tuned in on my timeline and on the CHGO_Sky Twitter handle for an update there. We'll be talking Mercury. We'll be talking Sky. We'll be talking matchups. We'll be talking about city for city. We got a lot of stuff to speak to, and we'll have some fun doing this. So this will be the first ALLCITY crossover under the WNBA branding. So tap in with us for that. It's going to be an early morning show for you all on the West Coast, but it's going to be something that you will definitely want to tap in with. And I will keep that kind of frank there. You got anything cherry on top wise that you want to add to that show that we got coming tomorrow?
You know, I do want to throw in my BFF, best friend for life, just added a little super chat in that says "Go Merc beat Sky," and I just want to give a big shouts to my bestie Matt. See you at the dog park in about 45 minutes. Shout out to you on the super chat though. I just can't tell you enough how excited I am about this crossover though. We've got me on the Sky Show tomorrow. Maybe a little Sky Show appearance on our show coming next Monday. I think my exact verbiage to Steven was a pre-cap and a post-cap. And I think that is a really good way to describe it because as we all should know by now, there's a home Mercury game on this coming Sunday. I'll be honest, I have no idea what time it is. I know I'm going to be there, but I don't know what time it's at. And so that being said, we're in for a really fun week between the W being back and just everything that Steven and I have planned for all you guys. So tap in with us and, stay tapped in. That's it. Steven, where can they find you?
You can find me on Twitter at StayTrueS.3, on YouTube at Steven Prejean Garner 3. And also a special opportunity that I will be consistently letting you all know about. There's two things. For one, Basketball Reference, I'm sure somewhere that everyone has ventured to at some point in some capacity, has the opportunity for you all to kind of keep up with the W as a league in a little bit more of a concise fashion where they send you a newsletter every morning prior or following games the night before to give you a quick recap, talk about leading scorers, give you a quick summary of games, check out the box score, all that fun stuff. You can simply find it by going into your Google search and just typing in Basketball Reference Women's Basketball Newsletter. It'll take you directly to the link. You send them an email address as well as your name, and then they'll send it to you, like I said, every morning following games in the W, which naturally will ramp back up this upcoming Thursday. And also, in addition to that, I also have a promo code for anybody that's interested in signing up to have an account with Basketball Reference. And it's part of my handle right here that you see on the screen. It's all caps, stay true. If you go to basketballreference.com, create an account, as long as it's an annual one, you'll have an opportunity to save 20% on said purchasing, and it'll give you access to, more stats, more information, get it directly to your inbox, like I mentioned, in tandem with the newsletters, and just generally allow for you to kind of help to support a brand that's been really uplifting the sports community for as long as I can even remember. It's something I've been using for quite some time. So tap in with us there. Again, that promo code is Stay True. Type that in, you get 20% off discount on your account with Basketball Reference. I would advise doing so. It'll be a fun opportunity for you.
It's so funny because before the Mercury signed Charisma Osborne back to the contract that she was on before the break, Amanda, myself, and Jake were talking about available free agents, and we were all using Basketball Reference as a guide to available players. So shout out to Basketball Reference for all the work that they do within the WNBA, because I know that they have been expanding their database this year and doing a lot of work to improve on that front. So shout out to them. Big shouts. That being said, follow me on Twitter over at Erica Lee Day, and that is Erica spelled with a K. And before I go any further, make sure you tap in with Eric Ruby in his episode of Southwest Bias today. He was talking about Kyler Murray, and I just think everyone needs to go tap in with that. It's on my Twitter account, so while you're over there following me, you can just scroll down just a tiny bit, and you'll see that episode. You can click over to that link. But that being said, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and we will see you guys on Wednesday.
We all silly like the mayor.